Hey everyone. So we'll just wait a few minutes for some more people to come to the live. Isaac, you're on mute.
Sorry. So hope you guys have done the task for the previous day. Even if you haven't finished, don't worry. You will have enough time to finish it before you submit the final one. Hi. Hi everyone.
How are all your projects coming? Did you have any trouble with the last session's tasks? If there are any questions, you can ask here or on Discord.
Yeah, don't hesitate to ask doubts because this is the time you ask doubt because everyone is doing it, so someone will know the answer. And if you know the answer to a question, please do make sure that you answer it because it helps the community, right?
Yeah, you can also check out other people's links to Figma and then leave feedback, and
Yeah.
it'll encourage everyone.
There are some really cool wireframes there. I haven't seen that neat wireframes in the past.
Yeah,
Really
some
cool
really
ones.
great ideas also.
Yeah, true.
So
Yeah, let's
I
start, I
think we
guess.
can, yeah, we'll get started. Okay, so everyone, welcome to day 4 of our 6-day bootcamp held by DSC MEC and DevQuest. Today we'll be looking at UX writing. We'll be looking at some color theory, and then we'll also start with mockups. So Isaac will be walking you through the steps to create a whole mockup.
Also,
So
if you haven't watched the previous sessions, do check out the link in the description to watch the previous sessions where we covered an introduction to UI UX, the UX part involved, typography, and all those user flows, etc. So make sure you watch that. It's equally important that you know all those stuff.
yeah,
And
so
drop a thumbs up if you are excited. Drop a number, anything. Let's see that excitement.
today we'll actually start with the visual design, so it's going to get a lot more exciting.
Yeah, even if you weren't in the previous session, you guys will be able to grasp this session because we'll be drawing on the Figma, fully on Figma. So yes, I see a lot of excitement. All right. All right, let's start then. Our TV guns.
Okay, so we'll start with today's session then. Okay, so a little bit of an overview for this session. Like I said before, we'll be looking at UX writing, and then we'll start with color, a little bit of color theory. You can start adding color to your mockup, and then Isaac will be demonstrating how to do a mockup live in this session. Okay, so we'll start with UX writing. Okay, so what exactly is UX writing? It's actually a really popular field within user experience, and all the text that you see on your screen, all the writings, all the words which are not inputted by the user, is written by UX writers. Okay, so I have some tips here for you that you can use in your project to make sure that you use the best possible text for your project. So, okay, here are the tips. The first thing is to avoid jargon. So, technical words like things like usually for error messages, words like authentication error or some like really long words which are difficult to understand. So try to avoid those things. And then the next thing is to keep it short. So avoid long sentences, avoid long words. These will look really cluttered on your screen and it will also be really difficult to understand for the user. So this is an example here. It's a checkbox, which is an extremely long sentence. People won't be able to read it and they won't be able to understand it. So avoid long sentences. And here you can see this text that says you entered an incorrect password. It was changed to wrong password. So now it's like just two words, but the same meaning is still there. So whatever words you put on your screen, make sure that each word on the screen has a purpose. If it doesn't, just get rid of it. So the next thing is to use numbers as actual digits wherever possible. So if you are creating an app for like e-commerce or something and you have something like 2 items in your cart, then use the number 2 instead of the word 2. The next thing is to avoid past tense. So if you have a text that says your post has been saved, then the has been is making it past tense, right? So just remove that, simplify it, and make it post saved, and the meaning is still there. And actually, on Instagram and all, if you save a post, it just says saved, and it's perfectly understood. So just remove all the unnecessary words. And then the last thing, don't use double negatives. So things like don't unsubscribe, which is like don't is one negative and then unsubscribe is another negative. So avoid that. So instead of don't unsubscribe, you can either put just subscribe or keep me subscribed, things like that. Here is another example of a confusing text. So it says, "Are you sure you want to leave?" And then it says, "No, stay," or "Yes, go." So these words like no and yes, just avoid them. Instead, use the actual verb. So like stay, go, or confirm, delete, words like that. Use those. And you all use a lot of different apps, right? So just pay attention to the kind of words that appear on buttons and on screens and things like that. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is brand voice and color. Okay, so I'll say the name of an app and I want you to put in the chat the color that comes to your mind. So if I say Facebook, what is the color that comes to your mind? And when I say Facebook, like maybe the logo, the app, what color comes to your mind? So if you can just put that in the chat. Let me just check the comments here. So the app is Facebook. What color comes to your mind? I can see a lot of blue. There is blue and white. And yeah, so many people are saying blue. Another example, YouTube. What color comes to your mind when I say YouTube? It may be the logo, like when you use YouTube, just the color that you immediately associate with YouTube. Yeah, I can see red coming in, red and white. Most people have put red. That's like the main color. It's in the logo. When you think of YouTube, you think of that red play button. Red and black, yes, that's true. Okay, so now I want to show you an example of a brand. So think of Lego. Who are their target audience? Who's their primary audience? It's aimed at kids, right? So here I have. Okay, so Facebook, like you said before, it was blue. The values that they have are like simple and straightforward. The colors they use is simple. The text they use are all fairly straightforward. And like I said before, Lego, it's aimed for kids, right? So yeah, for children. So their brand, it kind of promotes like colors and text, which is really creative and imaginative, fun. Like you can see the color yellow, it's really bright. And then look at the words they use. They've put the play zone and the button says start playing, right? It's all really kind of entertaining, fun. And their website has a lot of like images and lots of graphic images, videos playing, things like that. It's really colorful. Now another brand, which is the exact opposite. Here we have Harley Davidson. Now their values or their voice is rugged, it is confident, and it is aggressive. So look at the words that they're using. It says resistance is futile, grab life by the bars. It's like really strong and aggressive. And the colors that they have used are orange and black. Now orange and black is like really powerful colors. It's symbolic of a tiger, things like that. And here is another example. It is Tiffany. So their brand voice is elegant and classy. So you can see the colors. It's like kind of a minimal color palette, and the words that they have used, Tiffany at your service. It's like very elegant. So that's the kind of theme that they promote. So now I have here a bunch of colors and the words that people usually associate with it. So this is called color psychology. So if you just Google color psychology, you can see colors and the words that people relate with that color. If this text isn't clear, I'll be sending this PPT to you later, and you can also just Google color psychology to get this. So here we have red. Its symbol. The symbols are like passion and excitation. If you think about Netflix, it's like black and red. It's very dramatic, and that's kind of the values that they promote. Then you have McDonald's. It's yellow. It's like optimism and very happy, bright and lively. A lot of companies use blue, right? So if you take Facebook or LinkedIn, then you have Dell, HP, lots of big companies use blue. And that is because blue is associated with trust and security, and lots of big companies want to promote those values of like trust and security. Okay, so now you can apply this to your project by you know who your target audience is, right? So like just write that down somewhere, or like put it on Figma, who is your target audience, and then write down some adjectives to describe them, and think of some colors that might attract that particular user group. Okay, so earlier when I said YouTube and I asked you what color do you associate with YouTube, a lot of people said red, right? So now I want you to go to YouTube. Just open YouTube on your phone or your laptop, and like don't get distracted. Just open it and observe the screen. Where all does red actually come? Like how many places is red really coming there? So if you can just go through YouTube, just look at the screen, the interface. You can see like if you are using dark mode, the background will be black, and if it's light mode, the background will be white. And I have some screenshots here. So I use it in dark mode. Now you can see the background is all black and the text and icons are all white. There's only two places, or like very few places, where red is actually coming, right? So in the interface, yeah, the logo and the subscribe button, the progress bars, yes. So as a whole, if you look at it, the background is black. The text is, if you look at the left side menu or the search bar, the settings panel, all of these icons and texts are all white or like neutral colors, right? So even though we strongly associate the color red with YouTube, it isn't really used in a lot of places on the actual screen. So now I want to give you a rule, and it is the 60-30-10 rule. And this rule is actually used a lot in interior design and architecture and all. So what it means is when you select colors for your app, pick three main colors, and then select one color as your dominant color, and the dominant color will be present in 60% of your screen. Then select another color, which is the secondary color, and the secondary color will be present on 30% of your screen. And then the last one is the accent color, which is present in 10% of your screen. So in YouTube, you can see that the accent color is red. Even though red is the color that we associate with it most, it is the accent color, and it is only used in 10% of the actual interface. The dominant color is black if you are using dark theme, and white if you are using light theme. Okay, so This is something that you need to think about when you are using colors. And here I actually have some sites that you can check out to get color themes and color palettes. So the first one, it will be displayed here on the screen now. It's called Coolers, and you may be familiar with it. So if you go to that site, you can see these different color palettes, right? Lots of popular color palettes. So you can look through that for some inspiration. And another one is Color Space. The link will be displayed here. And Color Space, if you enter one color, then you click Generate, then it actually displays palettes which make use of that particular color. So like related color themes, color palettes. So you can see a lot of suggestions there, right? So you can go to these sites to get inspiration for your color palette for this project. But I suggest you keep it from around 3 colors to 5 colors. So when I say 3 to 5, it is including the neutral colors. So like whites and grays are also included in the less than 5 colors that you select. Okay, so going to the next slide. This is just a summary of what we have seen so far. I'll just go to full screen. Okay, so we started with write down who your target audience is. And then when you put text on your screen, write it towards them. It's directed towards them. So think about what words will attract them. It's like you're having a conversation to that user group through your interface. So think about adjectives that might seem appealing to that particular user group, and then select colors which will also be appealing to that particular user group. Like I said, you can just search color psychology and you'll get all these colors and the meanings associated with them. And then limit your colors to around 3 to 5 colors. And then the accent color that you choose will be the one that is strongly associated with your app, but it is the one that is used most sparingly. So it will be used only on 10% of the screens, like buttons, logos, and all. And then try to follow the 60-30-10 rule so that the screen doesn't really get cluttered. And don't underestimate neutral colors. So like we saw for YouTube, the text and everything was black or it was white. The background is white. So those colors are really dominant, and don't underestimate them. Try to avoid using a lot of colored text, like keep it neutral. Now going back to the example that we've been looking at so far, right? So the app where you can input your ingredients and you get recipes generated. This is actually the whole design of that particular app. So you can see here, this is our color palette, and we have used white as the dominant color, so it's present in 60% of the screen. It is the background, and then we have black, or like a really dark color. It's not pure black. Yeah, also try to avoid using pure black because it'll come off looking really dull. So use like a really dark green or really dark blue or something instead of black. It'll appear black, but it'll be just another color that's really dark. So that color we have in the text and everything. And then our accent color is green. So we selected green because green kind of represents health and nature, and this app is all about minimizing wastage of food. So we used green, and then it's used in the buttons and everything. Here we also put red, yellow, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's a gray here. And these are used like very sparingly here in the ratings, the star icon, and like a few other icons. And then the gray is used as like lines and in certain places, like this ingredients tab that you can see. Yeah, so before you make the mockup, I suggest you select your color palette, put it down somewhere on your Figma file so that you can keep referring to it. And now Isaac will show you how to create an actual fully detailed mockup. So Isaac, over to you.
Yes. All right. That was an exciting session on UX writing and the colors. I didn't even know some of that. I know the rules, but yes, it was an interesting session. So hope you guys are excited for what is uh, yet to come. We are going to create a mock-up of a wireframe that we created in the last session. All right. Can I have my screen up? All right. So if you have attended the previous session, you have seen the wireframes that we created. This is the wireframe of a recipe app. The previous screen before this would be a page that lists all the uh, ingredients. In fact, I'll show you. So this would be the screen that's before the previous the screen that we are about to design. And when once the user clicks on this screen, the detailed view of this recipe will be coming up. So hope you guys are excited for to convert uh, this screen into this one. And let's see, drop the number 8 if you are excited to start this along with me. Don't do this along with me, but we'll be learning this together. So press the number 8 if you are excited. I'll wait a couple of seconds and then we'll get started. And how's the screen, by the way? How does this look? Does this look neat? Let me know in the comments. All right, let's get started. So for the in the last Janice discuss why we use the frame size that we said in the last class, which is frame size of 360 into 720 pixels. So that will be what we'll be using today. You can choose your own frame from the frames tab if you click on the frames tab here or press F. F is the shortcut for frame, and you can literally see lots of frames for iPhone 11 Pro, 8 Plus, iPhone 8, iPhone SE, Google Pixel. There's a lot of frames for tablets like iPad, Surface Pro, and desktops, normal desktops, MacBook, and even there are even uh, pages frames for Apple Watches and social media posts. So that's something you can check out later. So in this particular example that we'll be doing, we'll be using 360 into 720 pixel frame. So you'll have to, I'll edit this here. On the top left, you can edit the size if you select the frame, and I'll edit this to 720 pixel in height. I'll place it here. Perfect. And for the for deciding an Android app, you have to uh, there are certain rules that you have to follow. So you can find these rules in the site in a site called Material Design, material.io. You can find the link in the chat. So this is a website by Google, which is Material Design. The design principles that they follow in Android phones. So since we are creating an Android app, we'll be using this frame size, and let's get started. First, we'll be learning about grids. Once you select, you have to rename the frame first. Make sure that you rename every group and frames that you do, because it makes it easier for the developer to actually get along with this. So I'll rename it as recipe. All right, and I'll select this frame recipe frame, and there are a lot of options here. So I'll select layout grid, and I'll click on anywhere in this area. I'll click on here, and you can see a grid appear. I hope you can see. This is a 10 pixel grid. Each square that you see is 10 pixels by default. But I'm going to change that. So in order to change that, I'll tell you why we are changing in a second. So in order to change that, we'll click the icon here, click on that, and change it to 10. Sorry, 8. We'll change it to 8. And why we chose 8 pixels is because in Android apps there is a rule that we follow, like we have to leave 16 pixels from both sides and put all our content inside those 16 pixels. So 16 pixels from the left and 16 pixels from the right. Also, while there is also another reason why we use it. I'll tell you that while we design this. So uh, this is easier. It's easier if we put a 8 pixel grid, because we can it's two squares makes 16 pixels, right? So we can add the contents there. So in my screen, you can actually see this ruler here, right? If you do not see it in your in your page, press Shift plus R to view the rulers. So you can actually drag rulers into your frame. See, I can just drag it from here. So we won't be needing it in this particular page, but it's definitely an easy method to align things. Maybe we'll use it on the later this session. Let's see. All right, let's get started on the once you have the grid ready, we are all set to start the mockup. So in your today's assets page that we'll be sharing, you can find some of the icons that we are using in this particular examples. You can find buttons uh, which are of the perfect size, referring to the material.io website, material design website. So these are all the icons that we'll be using. So first we need a status bar. This is a status bar. You can choose to or choose not to include it in your mockup, but I prefer it because anyway the designer will be using it for development, leaving space for space for the status bar in the developing stage. So I'll just choose to add it here. So once you select this from your assets page, Control C to copy, and I'll paste it in my page. Select the frame first and then paste. Control V. So it will be inside the frame. This section you see is the layers tab. So you can see the recipe frame here, and inside it you can see the status bar, right? So sure, that's an accidental frame there. You can see the status bar. It's inside it. What happens when you paste when you do not select the frame? So I'll remove this, Control X. And if you do not select the frame and paste it, it will be outside the frame. And if it's outside the frame, you won't be when you move the frame, it won't move along with it. So in order to fix that, we are selecting the frame and then pasting it. So Control X, I'll select the frame and then paste. Control V. So and I'll move it to the top. Press Shift and click and drag. Move it to the top. You can see that red line, making sure that it's at the top. The bounding box is at the top. All right, now what we need is a top bar which contains the bookmark session and the back button. So these are icons. Where you can find icons is that um, you can download plugins. So what plugins are is you have heard of a website called Unsplash. It's a website for free downloading free images and stuff. So there is a plugin actually inside Figma, so so that you don't need to go to another website to download it. So how to install a plugin, I'll show you how to install. You can see the link in the description, link in the chat for the page to plugins. You will reach this page. You just have to go to the home page and click on this community button. So there are a lot of stuff here like plugins, design systems, wireframes, illustrations, icons, typography, lot of stuff. So what we are currently looking for is plugins. So I'll select plugins. I'll search for a plugin called Iconify. Iconify, then enter. See, I have already installed this. You will have to install it in your system if you don't have it. Just press install and it will show up that the plugin has been installed in your workspace. So you will go back to your workspace and then right click plugins. Don't worry, these are all the plugins that I normally use. You will have, I think, 4 to 5 plugins maybe installed in your system, or if you don't, you can install every plugin from here. I'll give you if you have seen the recent post in our Instagram page, you have some really cool plugins examples. You can install those and try that out. Let us know in the Discord which of the frame plugins that you like the most. So in order to download icon, there are a lot of plugins for icons. I am preferring to use Iconify. So right click, plugins, Iconify, right? And then it will show up inside page, inside the Figma, and I'll search for back button. So there are a lot of options for back button here. I'll choose this one. I'll click on it and drag and drop it on the our Figma page. So if you need this icon, click on it, don't let go, drag it out, let go of the let go of your mouse. So it will be placed in your Figma page. So that's what I need. Now I need a bookmark icon. Bookmark. See, that's a bookmark icon. I'll drag this out, place it there. All right. Now I'm not using this one, so I'll delete that. Uh, so as you can see in these icons, there is a separate section in UI design called iconography, where it is only about icons that we use. So in these two icons that you see, you can actually see the difference in weight of the icons, right? Um, I'll take this one here because it's easier that way. Oh, it's the same one. Never mind. Sorry about the delay. And you can see the change in difference in the icon weight, right? This is more thicker and this is more linear. So in order to increase the uh, vector, increase the increase the stroke of this uh, icon, you can say click on, select this icon inside the frame, and then click on stroke. You can here see here under the fill option there is a button called stroke. What stroke does is it creates an outer box. So for example, if you create a rectangle and add stroke to it, you can see the border created to it. So you can choose it to be on the inside of the rectangle or in the center or outside the rectangle. You can see the difference, right? So that's what a stroke is. So I'll add a bit of stroke to this particular uh, icon. Click on stroke. I'll select center, but it's a bit too much. So I'll select the size of the stroke to be 0.3. Sorry, 0.3. So that's maybe I'll do 0.4. Yeah, that's about it. And the standard size of icons used in Androids is 24 pixels. So if you select this particular icon, you can see view it as 24 pixels. See, 24 into 24. So that is including the bounding box. Bounding box means the outer box inside, outer box of the icon that you see. So that's the size of standard size of icons that we use. The icon bounding box can be up to 32 pixels. It's for the ease of the user to click that particular button. If it's smaller, we have to struggle to click the back button, right? So we'll be adding these two buttons inside the inside our uh, recipe frame. So I'll just but in our current in our example, in our final mockup here, you can see a outer box here. So we'll create that first. So we'll choose a rectangle of 40 into 40 pixels. That's a size I randomly choose. I'll choose 40 into 40. 40 into 40. All right. Now I'll select this icon and then drag it into the frame. You can see the drag it into the frame. You can check whether it's inside the frame by, you can see the red lines making sure that it's perfectly at the center. And now to add color, to round the corners of this outer box, so you have rounded corners here. So in order to do that, you have to give a corner radius. You can see, if you can see my mouse, uh, you can see that. I hope you can see that. All right. I'll give a bounding box of maybe 10 pixels. Yes, 10 is fine. And then I'll smoothen this corner. So I'll select this, and if you can see 4 10s written here. If you want any one of the corners to be to have to do not have a radius, you can click enter 0, and it will be shaped like this. So in order to do that, you just have to select the button next to the corner radius, this one. And if you select the 3 dots under that, you can see a box called corner smoothing. So I'll just make sure it's, you can see I'll show you the difference. See, it's more smooth, and the button is more uh, minimal now. So that's why you use round corners. You can choose not to do a round corner, but it's uh, it's really cool to use a rounded corner. So in this particular app, we are doing a food management app, right? Nothing serious. So we are using a round corner box. Now I made sure that we left 2 boxes here, that is 16 pixels. Now I'll select this icon and the outer icon, and then press Control G to group them. Control G, and I'll rename the double click on the layers panel, this particular group, and rename it as back, indicating the back button. Similarly, you can add the similarly you can create the other bookmark icon too. I'm not repeating it again. You can watch this video again if you want. We have a time constraint, that's why I'm rushing a bit. Uh, this session might be a bit long. We'll see. All right. And now the icons are here. And now we'll add an image. So in order to add an image, you will have to download a plugin called Unsplash. There are um, other plugins available, but I'm choosing Unsplash. You can download it from the plugins page, like a download, like we downloaded the Iconography plugin. So we'll click on Unsplash, and I'll search for the particular food item. So in order to bring that into your frame, you will need to draw a rectangle. So in this particular uh, example, I'm drawing a rectangle here, and I'll select that rectangle. Make sure that it's inside the frame. If it's outside the frame, you can just drag and bring it inside the frame. All right. Now I select this frame and click on image I place. So this looks like a good one, but I already have an image here, so I'll be using this one. You can definitely try out images for your own app. So I'll do this. I'll select this one, click on Alt to duplicate it, Alt and drag. I'll bring it to this frame. So I'll make sure it's right up there, right on one of the boxes. Yeah, let it be here. So once you place an image, you can't, I'm not able to see the bookmark icon and the back icon. So in order to do that, that's because the image is on top of the bookmark and back button in the layers panel. So I'll bring down the image by clicking and dragging, I brought it down. So you can see the icons clearly now. So now to for this icon is a bit opaque, right? You can see through it. So in order to do that, I'll select this rectangle from layers panel and make sure its color is white using the fill option here. Make sure it's white. But now too, it's not opaque, right? It's so we'll reduce the opacity of this white color. So I select the rectangle again, and on the side of the color, you can see 100%. That's the opacity. So I'll reduce it to 80%. See, now it's similar to the bookmark icon. That's how you do the uh, reduce the opacity of a color. All right. Now coming to the main part, main content of the uh, this page, which is uh, the directions page, showing the time to cook this and the calories involved, the how many it can serve, the ratings, the name of the dish, etc. So as you can see, it's inside a particular box, right? We can see this rectangular box here with the curved edges at the top. So I'll draw that inside this frame, select this frame, press R to, R is the shortcut for rectangle. I'll draw a rectangle inside the frame. I hope you got it. So for this page, I chose this particular, this is a card. We call it a card. So this particular, I'm choosing this particular card's height to be 480 pixels. Sorry, that was a bit. I'll choose it to be 480 pixels. 480, right? And the width is 360, the width of the frame, and it's a bit extended to the bottom because I increase the height. So I'll press shift and then place it at the bottom, make sure it's perfect. So if you can't see the image, you can definitely adjust it, reduce the size of this, make sure it's visible, or you can bring it above it up, use a smaller image maybe. So I'm not gonna worry about that now. So this, the color of this card is white. Press select this. In order to select that, we have a color palette ready. So if you can see the I'll ask a question now. It's been a bit of time. Sorry about the rush if you feel so. Can you press the number 4 if you understood so far? I'll wait a couple of seconds. Press the number 4 if you have understood so far. And if you have any doubts, please make sure you clear that it today itself in the Discord channel. Awesome. You guys are really interested in this. I can see that you have already understood it. It's perfect. If any of you feel, do reach out to me or any of the mentors or anyone in the community who have understood it. Make sure you Google it first and or rewatch this video first and make sure you understand it perfectly. And if you don't, make sure you clear your doubts as you go, because this is an early stage. Make sure you clear those doubts. All right, now all right, great guys, keep that up and we'll continue. All right, for the card design, the card color is white, so I'll select this card and this time I'm not gonna change the color using the fill option. If you have a color palette ready, what you can do is select the object that you want to change the color and then press I. I is the shortcut for eyedropper tool. Press I and then you can see that my cursor has become a eyedropper tool. So I'll press on white. You can see it at the top here that the uh, color, the right color is chosen. Color is chosen. Press on that and the card becomes white. Now, in order to round the top two corners, what you can do is, like I said, select the frame, select the rectangle, and then add a corner radius. But then the end of the every corner of the box becomes rounded. So we don't need that. We need only the top two corners to be round. So what you can do is, I'll press it back to 0. You can either double click on this rectangle so that each these things show up. Each corner becomes the rectangle becomes an edit object. or let the rectangle becomes an edit object. You can create custom shapes like this, uh, but we are not getting into that. Make sure you play around with this. You'll get plenty of time. In order to do the top corners, I select these. I make this rectangle and edit object. You just have to double click on the rectangle to make it edit. I select these 2 points and then make the radius. I'll do it 25. 25. Let the radius be 25. All right. Now, as you can see, only the top two corners are rounded. Or what you can do is, let it be back to 0. Or what you can do is just select the rectangle and press the, if you want the rectangles, um, one of the corners to be uh, rounded, you can just select the rectangle, press on this. If you have a rectangle here, press on this icon, a square kind of icon next to the corner radius, and the first two boxes are for top two corners. See, already saying 50, 50. That's how you change individual corners. I hope you understood that. Now we'll move back to this one. I choose the edit object method, select these two corners, make the radius 25. All right. And if you want to hide the this grid, you can click on the eye option here next to grid. Make sure you select the frame first and press the eye option here. You can choose not to save, or you can press Control Shift 4 to hide the layout grid. Control Shift 4. I'll keep the grid for now. And in the last class, we discussed typography. So we already have the typography ready. And if you haven't watched the previous session, make sure you watch that because there is a lot of important stuff there. Typography is one of the main. I'm stressing that again. Main components of this website. So what you can do is select this. I already have a typography in place. What I need to. So this is all these things comes under typography. So how I came to choose this particular size is that I the in the style guide that I have. If you don't understand these terms, please do watch the last video. So if you the smallest size in a uh, web in an app should be we are choosing it to be 14 pixels, because if anything is less than that, it's quite unreadable. But you can, these are rules, but you can I'll tell you how you can, when you need to break them. So you can see these terms and conditions, small text, right? At that time you can choose the font size to be less than 14 pixels. Maybe you can choose 11 or 12 pixels. And in this particular example, I'll show you a place where I broke those rule. So I'll select these from the previous. Uh, how I select that is select one, press shift and select the other text, and then alt and drag into this frame. Make sure it's 16 pixels from the side, and I'll place it here. Make sure the bottom of the text is at one of the grid lines, right? So that's how you place that. See, you can literally see the 16 pixels. Uh, the bounding box of these two texts are at the 16 pixel mark. Make sure you do that. These are things that you don't see in a normal, uh, you won't hear in a normal workshop. You will have to ensure these things, right? Because it becomes it's a standard value. And for iOS apps, I think it's 20 pixels. They chose it to be 20 or 18 pixels, I think. You can find this information in the material design website. So next is the ratings section. So I'll go to the assets page. I already have the icons placed in Control C. You can just search for the star icon in Iconify plugin. So I'll select this frame and paste it, Control V, and I'll drag and bring it to here. So before I need to write something here. I'll press the text option and do a bracket right inside it. 20 means 20 people have reviewed it, and the size of this is 14 pixels. Like I said, it's a standard 14 into 1. This is the line height. 14 into 1.5 is the line height of the um, icon, line height of the text. So we'll select those two by pressing shift and make sure it's at the right place. I'll make sure it touches one of the grid lines. Yes, perfect. Now I have already also made sure that these I have left 14 pixels of space here. All right, now coming to the next part where we have to add the time, the subsections, the time, calories, and servings. Before that, you can see a small line here. So to draw that, you have the shortcut is L. Go to the tool, shape tool, click on line L. I'll leave a 16 pixels here and draw a line. Press shift to um, maintain a straight line. The line width is 360, perfect. Now I'll reduce the opacity of this line, maybe 15%. Yeah, that's enough. Now coming to the next session, we'll add these icons, right? So I'll select these icons, Control C, select this frame, and then Control V. So I have the icons in place. And we have to write something here, right? So what is to be written? 180 minutes, 300 calories. Or before that, we had to add a heading. So in order to add a heading, we'll choose the text tool, add a heading. I'll show you one of the icons. Rest you can figure that out yourselves. I'll write time, which is 14 pixels, and the line height is 21. That is 14 into 1.5. I will make sure that it's here, and then I'll add, copy this, control and drag. I'll write 180 mil. But the hierarchy thing that we talked about in the last class, that actually plays a huge role here. These both are in same size. So I'll reduce the the size of the 180 minutes because as to show the importance of the importance to the time factor here, time text here, because that's more important than the 180 minutes. So I'll reduce it to 12 pixels. All right, and I'll add some weight to it, maybe. Yeah, I'll add some weight, and I'll add there's a green color inside this, right? So I'll select the text and then press I, click on green, and you can change the color of the icon too. Here I have chosen a red color, I think. Yeah, I'll copy it from here, Control C, select this icon and paste it here, Control V. So that's how and you need to group this one cell 180 minutes. Press shift, click on the time icon and the time text, and press Control G to group them. And I'll rename it as soon as I finish that, and rename it as time. Similarly, you can finish the calories and the servings section. So I'll just select these from here. Now you know how to create that, right? So I'll just place it here. That's how you create each individual thing. You can add color to the icon to bring more color to the page as such. So once that's placed, we need one more line here. You can see a line here as well. So I'll click and drag 16 pixels from the top. See how it's easy when you create a 16 pixel grid, sorry, for 8 pixel grid, right? Um, now the subsections are ingredients and directions. So I'll add those text here. Ingredients, sorry, caps lock was on. Ingredients. Double click on the bounding box to make it even. And line height is 14 into 1.5. You can actually calculate it right here. So I have added the ingredients, and then I'll copy here and make one of it directions. So I have two subsections. Now we are creating the ingredients page, right? So I'll add highlight this in direction sections by adding a bit more weight to it and reducing the opacity of the ingredients tab. I'll maybe make it 50%, right? Yes, it's grayed out, and I'll add a small line underneath it by pressing L. L is a shortcut for line, a short line, and give it a accent color. What is our accent color here? Is the green one. As you can see, the majority is white, and then we have the dark black color. Here we haven't we have chosen a different color. You can change it after you finish it, or you can do it from your page, from your color palette. Right now, I'll paste the before pasting the whole content. I'll add a bottom add to shop list button at the bottom. So how to create a button? In order to create a button, there are certain rules. That is, the size of the button varies from 48 pixels to 72 pixels, because the why is it 48 to 72 pixels? Because the average size of a thumb is measured to be 48 pixels, because it's easier to tap the button in our app. So the size of the thumb is uh, like 72 pixels. That's why it varies from 48 to 72 pixels. So right here we are choosing the rectangle button size to be 48 pixels in height, and the width such that it leaves 16 pixels on both the ends, and we'll make the height 48, and I'll place it here, and I'll round the corners to 10, and I'll give it our accent color, that is green. Now I'll add a text inside it saying add to shop list. I'll make it white, and there are other options in the text as well, like you can click on these three dots in the text section, and you will have a lot of things here. You can change the alignment to left, right, make it underlined, make it uh, a link by clicking here at the top. You can make it a link. You can choose it to be fully uh, uppercase, or the first letters to be uppercase. I'm choosing it this way. And also you can try out different fonts. The standard for Android is the standard Android font is Roboto. You can find it in this list. um, but I'm choosing it as Poppins here. So I see we have uh, added a bit more time to the session. Make sure you listen to it. This is an interesting session. This is the key to high fidelity UI. So that's that. I'll make sure the text is at the center of this square. So sorry, this rectangle, and the This is not 14 pixels. If it was 14 pixels, it's difficult to read, right? It's bit small for a button. So what you can do is you can uh, there's a rule, right? The next size should be 14 into 1.5 pixels. But what happens when you multiply it by 1.5? It's too big. So what I will do here is I'll break the rule by justifying it. It's too big for a button. So I'll multiply 14 by 1.3. So that is 18.2. I'll round it to 18. Sorry, 18, and place it at the center of the square. Make sure you change the line height to 18 into, I multiplied it. Remember, I multiplied 14 by 1.3. So I'll multiply 18 by 1.3 as well. You can multiply with 1.5. It's all right because there is no recurring text for this one. So I'll select this text and this uh, rectangle and press Ctrl G to group it. I'll immediately rename it as CTA, that is call to action button. This is the CTA button of this page, call to action button. So I'll do that, and that's how we create a button. Now I'll add the typography part that we have created in the last session. I'll select this one, place it inside, the inside this frame. As you can clearly see, I have left 16 pixels here and 16 pixels here. That which means the text box, this box, right, is 326 pixels. That is 360 minus 16 minus 16. That is 16 from both ends. All right. I hope you understood that. Uh, if you have understood so far, please add press the number 5 in the chat. If you have understood so far, wait a couple of seconds. All right. Great that you guys are listening it to it perfectly well. Um, all right, all right. Let's wind up this session quickly. Just one more thing. All right. I'll show you how to add scroll to your page. How cool does that sound? Yeah. So I'll take this out of the frame, and I'll create a rectangle inside frame where the scroll option should be. I'm choosing it to be in this portion. So I'll create a rectangle of this size, which is, I chose it to be a multiple of 8, by the way, to ensure that it is uh, perfectly aligned in the grids. So I'll bring out this box now, and I'll place this text. This is our text. Place it above this one, at the center of this one. I'll place it like this, right? Now what I'll do is I'll extend this rectangle to the bottom. Extend this rectangle to the bottom. Hope you guys saw that. By just selecting one of the sides, we can increase the height. Now I'll reduce the opacity of this particular rectangle to 0%. So you can't see the rectangle, but you can clearly see it in the layers panel. There is a rectangle below it. So I'll select these two. As you can see, both are selected, and I'm going to create a frame. In order to create a frame, the shortcut is Control Alt G. The shortcut is Control Alt G. And now what I'll do is of course I'll rename it as maybe scroll, and I'll select the frame and bring it inside our page. but you can see that it's on top of the button. So I'll bring up the CTA button on top of it. And in order to activate the scroll, you will have to go to a prototype section. We were in the design section. You can go to the prototype section. Then it will be showing overflow scrolling, and it's currently no scrolling. I'll select it to vertical scrolling because it's a vertical text. If you have more images here, you can select those images, put it in a rectangle, make the opacity of the rectangle 0, and make that big horizontal thing that will be here into a single frame and add it to here, so that you have multiple images of the dish. So here it's vertical scrolling. I'll select the frame and then go to prototype. It was in design. Go to prototype, select vertical scrolling. Now it shows a caution icon here. So why that is? Because the frame is extending beyond the app frame. So what I'll do is I'll reduce this frame size to up till here. I'll reduce it up till here. Now that thing is gone. So how do we know that this thing worked? How do we know that if whether the scroll is working or not? So I'll select this frame, press on the play button here, that is present button, open anyway. Wait a couple of seconds while that loads. We are almost at the end of the session, and scroll away, right? It's scrolling over the top of this whole thing. It's because in the layers panel it's at the top, so you can bring it to the bottom to make sure that don't happen, it doesn't scroll over the top. So what you can do is you can make sure that the scroll is at the bottom of the page. So that's what you can do. And in the final section, you can see that there is a small gray box below under the ingredients text to show that that section is inactive. So what I'll do is I'll draw a rectangle here, which is of the size 40 pixels. Sorry, uh, what is the size? 48 pixels. 48 pixels. Sorry. 48, and the width to be at the center of the screen. So I'll bring this rectangle to below the ingredients text. You can see the ingredients text here, and I'll select these three things. That is the directions, ingredients, and this line. I selected everything. Sorry, and the line. I selected these three and make sure that it's at the center. You can see the red line, making sure that it's at the center. Cool. So, and I'll move this to the directions and the line a bit more to the left and make sure it's at the center of this part. And I'll reduce the opacity of this button rectangle to be maybe, yeah, 25%. And that's how you create a final high fidelity UI. Here you can see the rounded corners. You can select this one and I'll round it to 30. And also in the final one, you can see a white box behind the actual button. You can definitely add a box here and put it uh, below the buttons in the layer panel. So that's how you create a high fidelity UI. If you have any doubts, please make sure you ask it now, or ask it in the doubts channel in the Discord. And we have created a UI, high fidelity UI. This is how you create all those pages, each individual page. This is the page. This image was taken from uh, the uh, Unsplash plugin. All these images were taken from the Unsplash plugin. And make sure you guys leave enough space, and you can literally see the hierarchy, right? This is the most important thing. So it is bold and big, and this is the second important, or this may be the least important. So the hierarchy is maintained so that it is visually appealing, and you can see that easily. Now that was creating a mockup, and hope you guys enjoyed this session. If you have any doubt, now is the time. If you have enjoyed this session creating a high fidelity UI, make sure you uh, tell that in the comments. Let's see that in the comments. Press the number 3. Let's see the number 3 or 9. Let's say 9. We haven't used 9, I think. So these are the screens for. We'll add these to your assets page. You can definitely go through it, or if you can. If for your app you may not be creating this one, right? You may not need or sign up with Google or Facebook. You may not need that part, or you may not need the rounded corners. So make sure you bring up your own touch to your own app. So if you are creating a music app, just if you need inspiration for a music app, you can go to Behance or Dribble for inspirations. The links to those two websites will be in the chats. Wow, I see a lot of nines. Guess no one has any doubt. Did I explain it that clearly? I don't think so. Let's see some doubts. Come on, ask some doubts, please. Or you can ask it in the Discord channel. And if for this is a lot to take in, we understand this is a lot to take in, and if you don't understand, don't hesitate to ask doubt, because this is an early stage for you guys if you haven't been into UI for some time. So make sure you clear those in these early stages. Connect with us in any platform at any time. We'll be there to clear those doubts. And if you understood this, and if you see someone asking the doubt, please do clear that from your side, because it's a great feeling to clear the your peers doubts, right? It's really important that you do. It's how we grow as a community. Let's this You will see lots of this in the future. So uh, what you can do is you will for the task, Janice, if you can give them the task for
Yeah,
today.
so for today's task, you have to create a mockup for your app, and we suggest you make around 3 screens. So we don't want it to be too much of a burden. So once you create one screen, it becomes a bit more easier for you to create the other 2 screens.
Right.
And we also suggest like you can maybe make one sign-in screen, and then make like a home page or something, and create one other screen. So 3 screens in total.
So we are saying 3 screens at least. You can always create other screens. If you create more screens, that will definitely help for your portfolio and landing your first design job. So that's a tip to note.
So we know
Yes,
this
that's a
session
challenge.
this session it took a long time, but this video will still be in our YouTube channel, so you can refer to it again if you have any questions or if you want to refresh anything.
We wanted it to be under 1 hour, but there's a lot of stuff here, man. This is a really key. This is what the users will see. So hope you guys understand the importance of this session. Each previous session that you went attended in the previous class all led to this session. So make sure you follow that. Make sure you understand that perfectly well.
So maybe when you start making the mockups, you might have doubts. So you can just ask that on Discord. We can also conduct voice sessions, like discussions on voice channels on Discord. So if you want that, you can just request that too.
Yes, keep up the amazing work with the tasks you lot have been doing. Amazing. I haven't seen such beautiful sketches or wireframes in a long time. So make sure you keep that up. If you are not that perfect in drawing, you will get used to it. I am not perfect in drawing a real uh, sketch or something, but it's all in this field in UI design. You don't need to have a drawing skill, a literal drawing skill. You can always develop on it. So it's always a good thing to have. And also I'm saying this right now, if your screens are uh, I'm sure that it will be gorgeous, it will be beautiful. And if you we'll select a few screens and add it to our Instagram page at the end of the at the end of this boot camp. So that's a nice way to get featured in the first time, right? I don't have that option, so make sure you use it.
Yeah, me too. Also, at the end of the bootcamp, our last session is on 11th, and then after that, we'll give you a few more days for you to complete all of your tasks and then submit it together. So, even if you take more time now, it's fine. Just try to make sure that you do it thoroughly.
Yeah. Thank you guys, all of you guys, for staying until now, because it's a really amazing skill to have. And whether you are a app developer, web developer, it doesn't matter that much. So, and the support you guys give from your side is amazing. It makes us want to do more sessions on prototyping and everything.
Yeah, it's really nice to see a lot of people interested in this field.
Yeah, I see a lot of names common in the chat. I think we are already friends. Make sure you hit us up at uh, Discord. We can get in a workroom and discuss. It doesn't need to be related to design. We can just get along, right? It's really cool. And with that, if there's any no other doubt, let's wind up.
Yeah. So, thank you guys for coming and for staying till the end. We really hope this session has been useful for you, and we
Yeah.
hope to see you in the next session.
Yes. See you guys soon. Take care, and see you on the next session. Will be on the 10th at 4 p.m. Make sure you guys are there. Bye, guys. See you then.
Bye.